Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny Show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accepted meaning of angel is messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I'll introduce you to my wonderful guest, Lorraine Crooks. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it really means a lot to me to be able to connect with like minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, create your future, and transform your present to raise your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, and to take charge of your destiny so you can spread your wings and soar. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use angelic Reiki, future life progression, past life regression, guided meditation, angel oracle cards, and divine presence to assist you in remembering why you are here, your spiritual path, and the clarity on the next steps to take. I also offer a multidimensional virtual retreat, several transformational packages, a journey through lifetimes, a 6-week guided meditation series to help you gain confidence, and various workshops. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or an angel oracle card reading, with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Lorraine Crooks, who will be dispelling the misconception around tantric massage. Now, Lorraine is an international speaker, best-selling author, educator, and founder of Orgasmic Life. For over 2 decades, Lorraine lived an alternative secret double life. The dread of how others would receive her alternative lifestyle led to years of depression, anxiety, and at times made her very ill. In 2016, it all became too much for her, but now, as a qualified practitioner in multiple holistic and healing practices, Lorraine is best known as the sexual empowerment liberator and bedroom confidence coach. She is a much sought after expert in her field and has won numerous accolades for her contribution to society and service to others. Lorraine has exceptional gift that empowers, gives permission, celebrates, and heals sexual energy. She openly and unapologetically shares her extraordinary journey with humor and insight. Her heartfelt passion for sexual empowerment has profoundly transformed the lives of thousands that have felt disconnected from their sexual energy. She is now leading a global platform to support millions of people worldwide to be empowered in their sexual energy, and those struggling with poor mental health, challenging relationships, body trauma, abuse, medical conditions, and sexuality. So, without further delay, hello, Lorraine, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for that amazing intro. I'm really good. Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
Excellent. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Lorraine and I want to be part of the conversation. So please don't be shy. So Lorraine, why don't you tell us more about your journey and the benefits of tantric massage?
Okay, so as you said in the introduction, I've kind of had quite a diverse life, and Tantra was something that hadn't really ever been in my window of life, but it kind of, I was guided to it definitely. There was definitely a path that led me to exploring and connecting to myself in a very different way from maybe how I had been. I'd already trained in massage and some energy healing, having left being a secondary school teacher. So I was a secondary school teacher for a number of years, worked in FE, decided I wanted something different, was feeling a bit lost in myself with my alternative lifestyle and just feeling a bit discombobulated, really. So I was looking for something else, as often, many of us have done in our lives. And energy healing, massage was one thing. And then it was like, what do I want for me? What am I missing in my life? And actually, a connection to a deep sense of self and to my physical body, in really being present with it in intimacy and pleasure and life in general. So Tantra was the path that I went on initially, and the Tantra massage was the journey that I chose within Tantra, to learn about how I could get connected back to my body and to the energy of it and the experience of being present with it. And I love it so much so that I then decided to make that my career. So it was like, I think it was so profound for me, and such a spiritual awakening in experiencing my energy, my body, and my whole being in such a different way. and so much shifted. I was like, this can't be just an experience I have in life. This needs to be part of my life. And that's why I've made it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing, you know, with how your story has gone. So how did you kind of like get into it? You know, where did it all sort of like come from?
So I initially decided to journey for myself with Tantra and went on some courses and workshops and different things. And then I very much felt that I wanted to go and do all of it again. So I did. I went back to the company that I trained with and did the whole experience again. And this was from a different level. So I kind of explained it that the first time I went for myself and for my own healing, and the second time was to learn. And I've worked with a number of organisations now to really understand how I can support people to really connect back to come home to this amazing physical body, but in doing so also connect to our energetic, our spiritual layers that we have. And tantric massage is so much more than holistic and Swedish massage. You know, those have perfectly got their place, and I still practice some of those in some of the work I do. But actually, Tantra is bigger than just a massage. There's lots of breath work in it, which often we forget. You know, breath is key in tantric practice and in tantric massage. And there's lots of layers to it. It isn't just about physical connection. It's about energetic connection, spiritual connection, and kind of how we show up in the moment, which I think we can get very disconnected from. And tantric massage is a really good place to practice that, to have a safe space where someone can hold space for you and you can explore your body, your energy, your heart and pleasure in a really safe way that in society is attached to so many stories. You know, even breathing in pleasure, making sounds in pleasure, like all of the stories that we get told about how we can enjoy it. And actually I've called my business Orgasmic Life, and the reason is that I want to be in that state in every part of my life. I want to be in flow, not just in a bedroom. I want to be in flow in life. Don't we all want to be like connected to the divine in every part of our life? I don't want to wait until I'm in the bedroom or having a massage. So it's about the transferable skills between aspects of our life. It's about, you know, tantric massage is about being present, being in a moment. It's about letting ego go. It's about coming home to who we are. And for me, that's like almost a life skill that we could probably all benefit from and then ripple out. It's also about one thing that's really important in tantric massage is communication and boundaries, which again to me is a life skill that definitely wasn't taught in my sex education. But to be able to have a voice and say, actually, that doesn't feel right, or these are my boundaries and my parameters within my body, my energy, and my connection to who I am. And Tantra really promotes that more so than other massages, where it's a process that we go through. Often when people are learning sports holistic, we have a set routine and it's all very much of a process, as sometimes intimacy can be. Tantra is about having an experience. It's completely different energy. It's about, you know, there is no story to it. There is no destination. It's a journey of discovery, and a really beautiful one at that.
Yeah, no, I can kind of understand. And Cornelius has asked, is sexual energy the same as Kundalini energy?
Yes. So sexual energy is our life force. There's probably, in theory, sexual energy is a bit of a kind of made up definition because it's energy. We are sexual energy. That's how we got here. You know, at some point, two people eventually created us within the bubble of sexual energy in some way. So yes, it is Kundalini. Kundalini is the energy that's based at the base of our spine and runs up, and it's our chakras, which is our life force, which is like, so it's all the same thing. So our Kundalini is often depicted as the serpent that works our spine, and it dances between the chakras. So a lot of the work in tantric massage is activating that energy. It's activating the seat of our Kundalini to draw that energy up, to connect to the above, to connect to the divine, to be in flow, the ultimate state. And that's what we're working with, from the root chakra, from the Kundalini, which is all around in the same area, to really activate who we are. So sexual energy is our life force. That is it. It's all part of the same thing, whether we call it chakras, sexual energy, kundalini. It's about our existence and the energy that we have in a magnificent way every day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I think that can be confusing to some people sometimes. It's kind of like, oh, tantra, kundalini. Is it kind of like you know type of thing as you say? Yeah, but it's that energy force, that life force through us. The literally, yeah, that literally does flow through us. So you mentioned about breathing. And because obviously breathing is important because obviously we have to breathe, and sort of like in meditation, you know, they talk about breath work and stuff like that, but obviously it's a big part of the tantra as well.
Huge part, and that's why yoga and tantra often sit quite closely together as well. It's Tantra is very much about movement and energy and breath, and we don't breathe, you know, we and particularly in intimacy and pleasure, we get so into an experience that our breath shuts off, our sound shuts off, and that happens for a number of reasons. But the more we breathe into our body, the more we move that energy through us, the greater pleasure we can have. So, you know, if we're really working with that and using that kundalini energy and circling the energy, you know, that's when we can actually almost create that orgasmic energy, an energy orgasm within our body on our own. You know, we can create that energy through us just through breath, which is like how powerful, how powerful and crazy is that? Like we can be in a state of pleasure just through breath, but we survive so much on external and our physical, and actually, you know, there is so much more to it than that. We don't necessarily have to rely on pleasure being all of the wonderful things we have in life, that actually we can have it just through breath.
Yeah, I mean, how simple and easy, you know, you know, is easy concept is that, but it is learning to do the breathing, isn't it?
Yes, 100%, and it does take practice, particularly if we're someone that, you know, that isn't part of our life. The more you practice it, and different types of breath, you know, whether it's a slow breath, a fire breath that's really panting, and deep breath and really gets you into your body, or whether it's a gentle whisper breath. I mean, there's loads of different breaths that can be brought together that can really get you into your body. And also, you know, it's not just breathing in and out, it's also working our body, so it's drawing that energy up, and you know, clenching our body and holding our energy in a certain way. If we're going to be really drawing that, we're working with the whole physical body as well as the breath. We can't just expect to breathe and things happen. We kind of need to be present in our body as well. But it is an amazing practice that can really get us connected to it can get us connected to the divine. There's like this really magical energy that we can create in our body that almost takes us then out of our body, and it is sexual energy. So that's where this misconception of like, oh, it's tantra, it's like, to be in that state of bliss, to be connected, is where you kind of almost have that outer body connection. And I've certainly been in a space where I've used my breath and used that energy and that life force and that kundalini and really worked that through and connected. You know, I felt the angels coming. I felt, because I'm so expanded, they can't not. Like, the energy is flowing out of me. They're like, hey, look at her, let's go and play. And it's just like I can bring in so much beautiful energy from wherever I want to, because I'm so expanded. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, this, yeah, you can see, you know, listening to you talking, you know, you can see that, and you can see the
Love it.
energy sort of like just literally coming off you, off you now, and that. So, you know, is it one of the something that's really easy to learn, or is it difficult? Do you need to have a partner? You know, that's the thing that people often, you know, will say, well, you know, that's for couples, you know, Sting made that thing, yeah, it's all for couples and stuff like that. And people go, well, okay, maybe not then.
So I guess there's layers of it, yes. And Tantra has so many misconceptions. Tantra is ultimately about, so if we're talking about intimacy and pleasure, Tantra is probably what you're already doing, slower, more present, and with more consciousness. But it's just about being in the moment and not in a process. Tantra is about coming home and being with an experience that many of us get into processes in life. You know, we get into habits in the bedroom, in life in general, and tantric massage particularly is about really being in each and every moment without a destination, but just with a pure journey. So depending on, I guess, your current level of connection to breath and spirituality and understanding who you are as a person will depend on kind of your connections and how you can play with it. But there's loads of practices out there that you can connect to that can help you unravel some of the aspects of Tantra. But actually mindfulness is, you know, that is part of Tantra, just being. Just like taking that breath and being with your own body and just slowing down and being more present. So the things where there are higher energy level, yes, some of those take practice. But actually Tantra as a principle is about being present, being in a moment, and just allowing ego to, you know, move along a little bit. Yeah. And that's the beauty of tantric massage, because actually there is no room for ego. It's being present with an experience. It's a surrendering. You know, the clients I work with, they're surrendering to an experience that I'm guiding them through. They have complete communication and consent. The boundaries are in place, but I'm holding space for them to experience their body, but they're in their way, but with breath, with consciousness, with connection. Which, where else do we get to do that? Well, we're not in our head because we're doing it for somebody else. We're in a relationship, or we're trying to navigate it for ourselves, and then we get in ego. But just to surrender in a beautiful, you know, whether it's masculine or feminine or a mix of them, both the energies, but just to experience our body in that beautiful place of surrender, consciousness, breath, and allow our body to receive with expanded energy.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense. You know, that you don't need somebody else to be there for you. You can do it. So, and I suppose that really helps. I mean, something in your introduction, you know, was, you know, about people that are so body conscious, have, you know, traumas and stuff that have been brought on through their life through various things, and that it can actually help them with their self-esteem.
Yeah, the levels that tantric massage can support that blows my mind daily. It can definitely help with body confidence, because it's about being present with who you are, so there's no agenda with it. It can definitely help self-esteem, because it's connecting to the layers of us. It's connecting to who we are. And given that we know that our emotions create our physical health, we know that if we spend a lot of time in stress and negative emotion, that can show up in our body. Our body has a cellular memory. So if we've had sexual trauma of some description, that's held within our body. And for women, that can be held inside. For men, that can be just held on an energetic level in so many different spaces. But actually, in using Tantra, you're giving permission and you're resetting the experience. Many of us in intimacy and pleasure have an expectation, whether it's with ourselves or with somebody else. Our body has this kind of expectation, and it learns. It's got a memory. It kind of thinks, oh, when that happens, this happens, and this is how I feel around that type of touch or this type of touch. And what Tantra does is allows a safe space for reset. So that can then change how we feel about our body image. And tantric massage isn't just about the touch and the massage. There's lots of beautiful rituals, and, you know, it's, you know, to just gently have your hands touched, or just somebody stroking your hair. Like, even if, like, for people, like, just doing it now, just touching your face and just connecting with your body can be really quite emotional. You know, to come home to our physical self that that rocks up for us every day, does its thing, but we don't necessarily connect with in a really loving and beautiful way, but just to be really present and to have that experience can really build self-confidence, self-esteem. It can definitely unlock trauma. I've seen that happen so many times in so many beautiful ways, as well as all the things that kind of the traditional massage can do about helping our lymphatic system, our digestive system. It offers all of that as well as. but actually definitely with confidence, self-esteem, being a bit more sassy in life. You know, I've worked with women that have like been felt so closed down and so locked in their body, and they've literally looked at me as they've walked out, and it's just like this little goddess just struts out the door. And guys that have been locked in poor relationships and feeling like they've, and for many men, literally feeling like they've lost their power. So that's even showing up in things like erectile dysfunction. You know, that in an energy term is a loss of power. So actually to create a space where men can reconnect to a power, a sense of their masculine through tantric breath, through mindfulness, through touch, you know, that's such a powerful space to just reclaim who we are, whether we're, you know, whatever energy we're, masculine, feminine, or a mix of the two. Like it's a powerful presence to be with yourself and to expand.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful that can actually do that, because we do have sort of like a lot of society does put a lot of pressure on people and give a lot of people, different hang-ups about themselves, how they look, oh, um, or someone that's comes from an abusive relationship where they've been put down constantly made to feel they're the most ugliest person in the whole world. And it's beautiful that what you're saying with the tantra massage is that it can actually help that self-esteem, that confidence coming back to them.
100%. And even simple things, right? Like a lot of my sessions, I'll start with eye gazing. You know, sometimes a lot of us haven't been seen.
Mm.
We don't get seen. We don't get witnessed and acknowledged in a moment of vulnerability. Or just breathing together, allowing the breath just to take turns. Obviously, you know, there's when I'm massaging, there's two of us, there's me and if I'm working somewhere, just that allowing the breath just to move between and just to even just to hold our hands up and just connect in the hat. Like it's some of it's so very simplistic, but so absolutely profound. Um, just having somebody hold us, somebody wrap their arms around us. Like some of these things can be things we've missed, and they're the things that we like. All of that, you know, as a child, that nurture and that love we craved. You know, we nestled to the breast. We wanted to be cuddled and all of that. And somewhere along the line, some of that gets lost, and it also gets very cloudy in its boundaries. You know, we struggle with our yeses often and our nos in relationships of how we can show up with those. And you know, even to the point where I often talk to parents and say about, do you ask your children if they would like a hug, or do you just hug them? You know, are we giving our kids the vocabulary that we can say, would you like a hug? And they can say, no, thank you. And that no, thank you is okay. Or do we just go throwing our hugs on? You know, like the girls on the playground, everyone's hugging everyone. Oh,
Yeah.
like, actually, when do they learn that they can say no?
Yes. You don't.
And actually, sometimes when your children ask you for a hug, you know, or vice, you know, it's about playing with that sometimes a little bit, just so they can feel what is it like if somebody says no to me, and what is it like if I say no to somebody else, and practice that dynamics and that vocabulary, because we don't get given that as a, you know, that doesn't get taught. Our boundaries for touch
No.
doesn't often get. I'm not saying it doesn't get taught. That's unfair, because there are amazing people out there that, you know, do this. But actually, many of us just accept what we're given when we're kids, and it's touch and hugs and great auntie whoever gives us a big sloppy kiss on a Saturday afternoon or whatever it might be. And then when we get into relationships, we're like, okay, well, every time it's happened up to now, I've just had to grin and bear it. So I'm just going to have to keep grinning and bearing it. And then we get to 40 and we're like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah, and it's actually it's a theme that's kind of like come up on several of my shows recently, is about what we do to children or how we treat children is such a huge effect on when they're adults. And you suddenly realize, oh my God, I didn't think, let me give you, you
Yeah.
just don't.
And in the spiritual community, we often, would you like a hug? We kind of we suddenly learn it in different groups of
Yeah.
people, you kind of learn it. But I can go out into other communities and there's still that, oh, come here, and you're just like, and if I say no to someone, you can actually, I'm all right, thank you very much, I'm just being with me at the minute, and they're just like, because we don't get taught that, so it feels like a real rejection. And actually, we should feel really honoured that that person feels expanded enough with us that they can say no, and we don't feel like that. We're like,
No, that
what's
person do you want a hug from me?
just like, what's wrong with me? I was all right last week. But it's like all of that is part of Tantra, like being able to voice our boundaries, and whether it's a type of touch, whether it's asking someone to stop, like it's a safe place to practice that as well, which is the other beautiful thing about it is that it's not just a process. Like there's all these elements that are tied in, whether it's breath, communication, boundaries, honoring our body. What does my body want in this moment? And how many times, like, we just don't do that. We're not present always when we're having a shower and we're being with our body. We're not always present with our experiences. And Tantra is literally about being present with each tiny juicy bit of each moment, within all of that boundaries as well, about how we can play with that. And sometimes the people I work with, that's the first time they've had a space where they can practice yeses and nos, or the first time they can actually ask for what they want and not feel judged, which is amazing in itself. And that's where the esteem and the self-confidence comes in, because once we're out of judgment and we can stand in our power and our energy and ask for what we want in life, that's the ripples I've seen. People that have come to me and worked with me with tantric massage, that have then been able to go in the workplace and change something in the workplace and got promotions and because suddenly boundaries are okay,
Yes.
communication's okay, and I rock because I can own who I am, because I've stepped in my power and I'm connected to myself and I'm not disconnected from my body. If you think about our sexual energy sits in those lower chakras. And actually, that's our roots, our power, our sexuality, our creativity. That's all the juicy stuff. Obviously, this is amazing because this is connecting us to, but actually, if we've got any of that going on, if we're not, in our sacral, in our solar plexus, in our root energy, this lower part, which is all where our sex stuff is, like if we're just going, no, I'm not going to acknowledge myself as a sexual human being, then actually we're shutting off creativity, we're losing our power, cannot give birth to new things in our life, which is what that space is also. It's about the new birth of, the creation of. We're actually disconnecting ourselves from some really juicy bits of life in so many ways. And that for women that have maybe come with trauma and we've worked on that energy, they've gone off and suddenly got promotions or changed career or whatever it might be, because they've unlocked this energy state, this flow state. They're feeling in their feminine, they're feeling in their goddess, they're rocking as a human being. And the ripple effect in relationships, work, life, family, their kids, like just showing up and being able to communicate in a different way is just mind-blowing. I didn't realise the impact that some of these sessions could have and the ripple effect in life, because it isn't just about a nice experience. It can really change people and help them manifest and become, as you said earlier, the confidence and the self-esteem of kind of just owning who you are on a physical, energetic and spiritual level.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And Cornelius has asked, can Tantra be practiced between two persons of the same sex?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I work with male energy and female energy, so I'm massaging masculine bodies and feminine bodies, so it can definitely be practiced. It's about two human beings. Most of you can practice on your own, but definitely it's about two human beings coming together, whatever that looks like, for tantric massage, definitely. And just, to be honest, it could be even more human beings than that. Depends on how you want to show your tantra, but like for two people to be connected can definitely be, because it's about giving space for each other to be connected to your body and be connected and being present, so you can share that however you want with another human being.
Yeah, no, that's that. Yeah, it's amazing that it doesn't just necessarily need to be a male and female. It can be, between two people or just yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
which I think is where a lot of people have had that idea, in that it has to be between two people that are going on to have sex. And I think that's where people have always got that idea from, haven't they?
Yes, and I don't have sex with my clients.
No, I was going to say.
I, I share tantric massage. That's part of my job. It doesn't necessarily. It's about pleasure. I'm not going to say it's not about pleasure, because I'm holding space for someone to connect to pleasure and to connect to their body. It doesn't have to go on to sex, and obviously that depends on your definition of sex. If you know someone's receiving touch in a really beautiful way and energy moves through them, people might see that as a sexual experience. It's a pleasurable, energetic experience, and I have no issue with that. But it doesn't have to lead. You know, it's not about penetrative sex. It's about breathing together, and you can feel that energy shift. You can almost feel in that orgasmic state just even by breathing with someone, or just running your hands down their back or tickling. But it's about being present with that. Most of the time when we have those experiences, we're thinking about the next thing, or we're thinking about what we should be doing to them. And actually tantra, you know, it's really, if you're practicing it with a partner, it's really nice to say, do you know what, tonight's for you. This is my gift to you. What would you like to receive? And then another night they can say, this is your gift. So there's no heady stuff that gets in it, because it's not like, oh, this is really nice. What am I going to give them back? What am I going to do? But just one of you have the experience. You can't help not having an experience even if you're giving, because it's beautiful to share that. But actually, you know, that turn taking that we get into in the bedroom and in intimacy can really get us into our head. And actually where we want to be is our heart, and in our kundalini, in our base energy, in our hara energy. It's not about a head experience. So that's where it's really nice to say, tonight I'd like to give to you, what would you like? And that, to be honest, that's tantra. That can show up. That could be feeding them strawberries for an hour. That could be holding their feet. It doesn't matter what it is. Tantra's about an experience. It doesn't have to look a particular way. It could be a sensory experience. It could be a gentle massage. It could be just laying next to them, but breathing together and feeling that energy between you. It doesn't have to be anything deeply complicated. Tantra is about being in a moment, and you choose what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I like the way you've sort of like described that, because it does take away from a lot of you know, what people are have said. You know, people like Sting, Madonna. You know, it's kind of like mainstream media have always really painted it as kind of like a sex thing, when really it's so much more, so much rounded than that, and so sort of like spiritual, really, because you are connecting with the kundalini, with your higher self, with the universe, with everything.
Definitely. And that's the joy of it. It's, as much as it's a physical experience, it works on so many levels, and that's where it can work its magic. That's where it can build someone's confidence. That's where people can feel really seen for the first time. I know when I've done my training, or when I've been working with clients, you know, there's a real sense of someone seeing you, and often we don't get that in life. We don't even get that sometimes in the bedroom. You know, it can be a lights off, under the duvet, an experience, ticking a box, bit of a process. Turn taking, you know, to come into an aspect of tantra, whether it's a massage or just sharing breath work together and just holding each other or stroking each other, like that's still part of tantra. In fact, I did a little mini course a couple of weeks ago, and that was just about how you can put tantra in everyday life. And it was about, how do we find pleasure in everyday life? Because actually, if you take it out of the bedroom and the kind of sexual energy aspect, tantra is a life practice. It's not just about when we show up in the bedroom. You know, it's about being connected to nature. It's about enjoying a really beautiful cup of tea and being connected to all the senses. That's pleasure. It doesn't have to be anything that we normally associate. Like, that can be a sexual, intimate experience. But we're so in our head with life that we don't always see that this can be really beautiful. Drinking a hot cup of whatever, enjoying it, breathing with it, taking all the aromas in. Is that not a sensual experience? Is sensuality not part of sex? Is it like, we just overthink it? We don't have to overthink it. Have a cup of tea, it's all good.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like cacao ceremonies, it's all about the breathing in and enjoying the moment, the chocolate, you're tasting the chocolate, um, coming in. That's just a cacao ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, massaging your hands and your feet. I quite regularly now massage my feet. That whole circuit of connecting to my body and breathing with it. And I remember doing a workshop with about 15 women, and we were massaging. We did some breath work, and then we started massaging our feet. And most of the women started crying because they'd never massaged or touched their own body in such an intimate way. And I was like, wow. But we don't. When do in reflection? When do we really make time for that? When do we really connect with our own body? We might go and let someone else do it. We go for a massage, or we go and have our nails done, or we go and have our hair cut. But they're all external experiences, and we like tick them as a pleasure, and they make us. But that's not us connecting to our body. The same as intimacy. We quite often experience our body in the hands of somebody else without knowing what our body likes. Our first intimate experience is often not a really deep experience with our own body ourselves, but often at the hands of somebody else, and we don't really know what we're doing and how we're guiding them and things like that. We rely on going somewhere else for those experiences, and actually we can come home to ourselves and do that just by simply massaging our feet. Join a cup of tea. That sounds like a perfect night to me. A massage, cup of tea, I'm good.
Yep, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Well, that's tantra. I'm probably underselling yourself here, but that's tantra. Like that, being with that experience is tantra. There's no ego in it. It's just being with it as a slow, beautiful experience.
Beautiful. You've explained it so well about that what it is, what it is, and that misconception. So it's been absolutely brilliant the way you've explained it for us. And Cornelius, thank you for asking those questions and joining in with the show. So, as you know, I do guided meditations and angel oracle card readings, and each week I like to ask my guests where they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an angel oracle card for themselves and those watching. So, Lorraine, what would you like?
I think we'll go for cards. See what the universe has got to say about them.
Funny enough, I've got them in my hand. Okay. So, as always, when I do the cards for what we need to know, what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. Because although I work with past lives, when we go into our past lives, it's to learn and understand from them so they don't affect us in our present life. And when we go into the future, it's to know where we're going, understand what we need to do to get there so it doesn't affect us in the present. So, what does Lorraine and everyone who's watching this live or at a later date need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? Okay, that one wants to come out. Perfect. In the flow, everything is smooth sailing. Isn't that the most perfect cards to actually come out for what we've actually talking about, and confirmation and validation, for everything you've been saying, everything you're doing for that. So so that's brilliant for you, Lorraine. And again, for all those watching, just get into the flow of life, get into the flow of breath, and everything is plain sailing for you. You can move through life so much easier when you don't complicate and overthink things. I think that's quite an important thing. So, Lorraine, do you have any insights or words of wisdoms or last thoughts to leave our viewers?
If you want to practice Tantra, be in the present and be with what is.
Perfect.
That is the simplest form of Tantra. It's just be in the moment and be with what is.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So thank you for that. It's been absolutely brilliant. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have, and it's certainly cleared up a lot of misconceptions. So, Lorraine, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
So the best place to find me is through the website. There's different avenues you can connect with me through there, which is orgasmiclife.me. So
Okay.
one word orgasmiclife.me. You can book a call, we can have a chat, come and say hello.
Excellent. And what I do is I'll put the direct link in the comments, so you can just literally click on Lorraine's website and go straight there. So again, thank you, Lorraine, for sharing your wisdom. It's been absolutely wonderful listening to you. And Cornelius says yes, much. Thank you, Cornelius. Um, so so thank you everyone for watching, and Cornelius for asking the questions. And of course, if you are now ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, stuck or alone, then please feel free to connect with me and we can arrange a free video call to discuss where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny so that you can spread your wings and soar. And please feel free to join my weekly newsletter and receive a free Future Life Progression recording, where I take you into a future lifetime to get guidance and clarity that you can use in your current life, as well as a couple of other free gifts. And again, thank you so much everyone for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And maybe, actually start taking that breath, enjoying being with themselves. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of when this show goes live, or I post new live guide meditations, because every subscription, every comment really, really helps. And I look forward to you all joining me same time, same place again next week. And again, thank you, Lorraine, and thank you for all those watching and asking questions.